Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Are you a god?
I'd buy that for $1.
What are you?
Jungweise? Visualize?
I'm Batman.
When someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
We have such sights to show you.
And we're back. Well, actually, no, not back. We're here.
Right.
Well, we could say we're back. We're back from just finishing no. We're back after we finished a new segment. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's just say we're here.
Yeah, we're present. This is what's happening right now. Hello, welcome to the present. We are here now.
So, today we're gonna be watching the Bugs.
Nope.
Burbs.
Nope.
I forgot what it's called.
The Burbs.
The Burbs.
Today we're going to be watching The Burbs by Joe Dante. And the reason I picked that for today is because
it's another one by him. He's the one who directed INNERSPACE.
That's correct. And I don't think you've seen too many movies. I don't think you've seen any movie starring
Other
Tom
than
Hanks.
The End of Small Soul. Well, wasn't Tom Hanks in the Man Who Knew Too Little?
No, that's Bill Murray.
Oh.
And I'm glad that you remember that movie because that's one of my favorite movies. Although you've seen The Polar Express, right?
No.
Oh, really? Huh.
We were going to see that at MEA.
Okay.
But
You can just say my school. You don't have to abbreviate it MEA. You can just say my school. It's fine.
We were going to see it at my school, but I chose to go to my friend's birthday party instead.
Yeah, good move. How was the birthday party?
It was fun.
Okay. I like it. So let's take a look at what The Burbs is about. Why don't we click over to that and see what our IMDb page has to say about this particular movie.
An overstressed suburbanite and his fellow neighbors are convinced that the new family on the block are a bunch of murderers
Are part of a murderous satanic cult.
The director is, like we said, Joe Dante.
Yep.
Writer, Dana Olson.
Dana
Olson. Stars, Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, and Carrie Fisher.
Now, you recognize Carrie Fisher's name?
No.
She plays Princess Leia in the Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I didn't know, but...
No, but you now know who she is. That's the whole point, right? So, an overstressed suburbanite. I certainly identify with that. But do you understand what it means by suburbanite? Do you know what suburbia is? Okay, so basically we live in suburbia. When people say things like, hey, do you live in the suburbs, suburbia? Basically what it is it's like a living environment outside of a major metropolitan area. So outside of a really big city. So like DC and...
So like we're a suburbanite area because our town is close, or city is close to DC?
Exactly. Most of the people that live here commute into the city to work. And that's kind of what makes
like
it
you.
suburbia. Exactly, like me.
And then sometimes you go to Williamsburg. But let's not get too into that. This is a movie thing, not where we talk about jobs.
Yeah. Although okay. Yeah, no, you're right. It's a movie thing. Let's stay focused. So Carrie Fisher, Tom Hanks, I think this will be... I'm shocked to say that this might be then the first exposure that you have to Tom Hanks.
I recognize his name from one movie.
Uh-huh.
I just can't remember what.
Okay. I mean, Tom Hanks has been making awesome movies since the early 80s. So, I mean, he's got 30 years of amazing films. So, if you haven't seen a bunch of Tom Hanks movies, we're definitely going to work our way through his filmography because he's pretty awesome. I'm a big fan. And then Bruce Dern. I love Bruce Dern. He's the guy that falls off the roof in the trailer and then he shoots out the window. That's Bruce Dern. Bruce Dern has some great roles in some Quentin Tarantino movies that maybe we'll get to at some point. But let's do some building blocks first. Start with the Burbs. So that's what it's about. An overstressed suburbanite and his fellow neighbors are convinced that a new family on the block are part of a murderous satanic cult. What do you think from having seen the trailer?
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was kind of cool, but
Go ahead.
I thought it was kind of cool with the falling off the roof thing. How he didn't die.
Okay.
But honestly, I have a few questions for that. Honestly, I know the trailer isn't really supposed to explain everything in the movie.
Sure.
But honestly, I feel like if you're gonna put a scene in the movie, you should at least explain what's going on.
So you think the trailer didn't explain enough as to why he was up on the roof to fall off in the first place?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that if you're gonna put a main scene in a movie,
yeah,
you should explain it in the trailer somewhere.
What do you think the job of a trailer is?
The what, a trailer?
No, I said, what do you think the job of a trailer? Like, what is a trailer supposed to do in your mind? What makes a good trailer?
In my mind, what makes a good trailer is a trailer that explains fully about a movie.
Uh-huh.
So, like, doesn't, like, tell you every single part of the movie one by one, like a summary of it.
Right.
But, like, but, like, it just tells you what you should expect in the movie. That trailer didn't really tell you what you should expect in the movie. Mm-hmm. It told you basically scenes in the movie.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah. I mean, I think some trailers, I don't know. I think trailers are a tricky art to get right because, like you said, you don't want to give away everything that you're going to see in the movie.
Like how sometimes some movies just like give you a basic scene and then like, here you go, that's your trailer. You're happy now.
Yeah, I think what you said originally is more spot on. I think it's a trailer's job to tell you the feel of a movie so that you understand what kind of movie that you're going to watch. And I think the Burbs, even though it doesn't kind of tell you what the story really is going to be about, other than it captures that basic idea of the same thing that IMDb said, which is a family moves in and they're scared of them, right? Because they think that they're satanic or something like that. But I think the movie is zany, and I think the trailer covers the silliness of the comedy. And then that way, I think it gets the feel of it right. But I don't think it's a great trailer either. I think it relies too much on kind of the same point over and over and over again by showing, kind of like you said, a list of scenes. So, I mean, you've seen the trailer. What do you think the movie's going to be like?
I think it's going to be, the bone, like, remember, in that scene where they find the bone and they think it's Walter,
Yeah.
I don't know who Walter is, but it kind of looks like a chewed up dog bone because you can see the teeth marks of a dog.
Right.
So I don't think it's because I don't think it's Walter, because then towards the end of the trailer you said, so that isn't Walter. We found Walter. So maybe that was just a chewed up dog bone.
Maybe. All right.
Or maybe the dog killed a bird.
I'm very curious to see what you think of it once we come out the other side. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a very fun movie. Does it look scary to you?
No, not that much. The only part I'm not very sure about is the one where the house catches on fire. And then he's looking down and it's like he's standing in fire or something. So remember, in the very last part of the movie, he's like...
In the trailer.
Yeah. I think we should move, honey. And his feet was standing in something. It looked like the fire, but I don't think it was.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to say?
Well, no. I think we should close this out and come back. Wait, we didn't get to talk about, like, why this thing should be called it. Like we did with INNERSPACE. We didn't really get what INNERSPACE meant. And,
what do you mean? Are talking about the titles?
Yeah, like talking about why they picked the title. Because I don't think the Burbs make sense.
Why?
Because it's just because it's sort of... Because when I first heard you, in my mind I thought you said the Furts.
Oh, no. Well, but the Burbs is short for suburbia. And so so that when you see the actual title in the movie, it goes and then it's got an apostrophe, Burbs. And it's shortened for the suburbs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, let's close this out and open it up again after we watch the movie.
All right.
See you on the other side, peeps. Play Hangman, too. It's an awesome game. But I think that's getting a little off track, though.
Yeah.
Bye.
Why don't you go say hi?
Well, yeah, I guess I could.
You know, this would be the perfect time because you could go up and talk to him. We could see what he's like, you know. Go.
You could go say hi to him, too, you know.
Yeah, but he's your neighbor.
Well, no, he's your neighbor as well.
No, but I'm over. You share a property line with him.
Yeah, we're all on the same block, so, I mean, you could go, too. So.
No, we're all in the same town, too, but you're right next to him. If he was ever going to borrow anything, he'd come over to your place.
Well, he's busy now.
No, he's not busy. Now, look, he's going go now because he's going back in. If you were going to say hi, you should probably, there he's going into the house. You're going to lose him because he's going to go in.
And we're back. We just finished watching the Burbs. So I didn't get to use my $1 bill per episode yet, so can I use it?
Yes, that's fine.
So Bill, what did you think about the movie?
I love the Burbs. It's not exactly a perfect movie for me, which I'm okay with. I don't think every movie has to be that perfect movie where everything just seems to work flawlessly. But I love the look and the feel of everything going on in the Burbs. Like, I love the design of the creepy next door house. I think it's amazing. And I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. But I think the more interesting question is, what did you think about the Burbs?
I thought it was pretty awesome. My favorite part is when the house exploded, and then you saw, his name was Peter, right? Or is that his last name? Ray.
Tom Hanks's character?
Yeah.
I think it's Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely Ray.
And then Peterson is his last name.
I think you're right, yeah.
It's Ray Peterson. Anyways, I love the part where, like, you see the explosion, and then right before that, he's, like, running out. You don't even have a full breath.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one beat of your heart, which goes like this, really fast. So it's like, but even faster than that. So it's like one or two beats of your heart, which is like a snap, and boom, the house explodes, and then another 2 snaps. He's walking out of the door.
In the amount of time that it took for him to come out of the house, did you think that he had died in the explosion?
Honestly, I thought that was him running out.
Oh, first time?
With his buddy.
Yeah, but it was his buddy who made it out of the house. So you love the explosion. What else did you make of the movie? Did the entire movie, did you think that the Klopeks were in fact serial killers?
No. I thought that,
Oh, that's a yawn.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Halfway through the movie when you saw them digging, that's when I started getting suspicious and being like,
So what did you think was going on at first when they were mistrustful of the Klopeks?
Wait, in the very beginning, or like, what do you mean by that?
Well, so you said you got suspicious towards the end of the movie, or towards the middle of the movie, right? The middle to the last third of the movie, where you were suspicious that they were actually bad guys. Mm-hmm. Before then, did you think that they were murderers or hiding something? Like, what did you make of the setup of the movie?
Well, honestly, if you compared that trash bag to our trash bag, it looks pretty much the same. But honestly, I thought it was real garbage the whole time because, like, if he has... Well, actually, no. Honestly, I don't think you can have that much garbage if they barely have any food, you saw. And they barely even had any garbage cans or anything. You saw just garbage all over the place and moving things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we put out a lot of garbage in our house. I mean, there's 5 of us and there were 3 of them. But I mean, you're not wrong. Like, we fill up so much garbage. I wonder what our neighbors, when we did our KonMari thing for like 2 weeks straight, we did the decluttering of our household and through the KonMari process. And
I remember all that dust in your room when you were going through the books.
Yeah, there was so much dust. But then, like, the amount of garbage that we brought out, this is bags and bags and bags, probably 100 bags of garbage easily added to the curb all of a sudden. And then because we didn't want to upset the neighbors, we would keep the garbage in our front porch, like inside of the door, piled up along the stairs. And then after dark, just before the evening before garbage day, we would then like cart out 30 bags of garbage every single garbage day for like 2 weeks. And like watching that movie though, oh man, no, I'm talking like 2 weeks. So that's like 8 pickups. No, 2 weeks is
4 pickups.
4 pickups, yeah. But 4 pickups times 30 extra bags of garbage a pickup is like 120 bags. I bet that's pretty close to accurate. But I wonder what the neighbors must have thought. And I was watching the movie thinking about what... Because they live on a cul-de-sac in the movie. We live on a cul-de-sac. What did you think about all the neighbors spying on each other?
That was funny.
Do you and your friends who live on the street talk about the other neighbors and like have weird theories about like who might be an evil house or anything like that?
Well, we mostly talk about the old people who... They're not old, but like the people who used to live in...
not old people, but the people who used to live where?
Like, remember that day? I think it was like maybe 4 years ago or something?
Uh-huh.
I was like 7 or something.
How old are you now?
9.
What is 9 minus 4, Claire?
6.
No!
Just kidding. It's 5.
So if you were 7, would that be 4 years ago?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so 2 years ago.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know. I think she was here for like 2 years. But anyways, remember that day when the cops came and dragged someone out of the house? Like it was a man or something. He was arrested for robbing or something.
No kidding. No, I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Well, actually, no, you were at work, and it was a day where Mommy was, I think she was sick or something, and we were staying home so that we could help her. And because I went to school, but I couldn't go to school because school was out that day. It was teacher work day. So we were watching, and the cops came by, and then we saw people being dragged out of the house. So honestly... That kind of when I saw the movie, it kind of reminded me of that.
So when the kid neighbor who was like, "Oh, you guys got to come and watch this. This is the best television show around." Did you relate to that? Do you think it's interesting to people watch in a cul-de-sac, or did that seem silly to you?
It didn't seem very silly, honestly. I thought it was pretty cool when the police cops came in. When I was like in 2nd grade or something. And then I really wanted to be a cop, so I thought that was pretty cool when I saw that happen live action, and I actually got to see it.
Okay. Well, I don't remember that, but I don't remember a lot of things.
Probably because you were at work.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not saying you're acting suspicious or that you're telling stories.
Yeah, you were at work.
Uh-huh. Yeah, see, you was at work. That's how it happened. No, so I just, this conversation reminded me, at the very beginning of the movie, you actually did ask, why is everyone suspicious of the Klopeks? And I was wondering if you would talk a little bit about, like, what made you ask that question, and, like, what did you think everybody, why were they being suspicious of the Klopeks?
Well, wait, which one are the Klopeks?
The Klopeks are the scary house that moved in.
At the beginning of the movie, I thought it just looked like a normal old house. Mm-hmm. I didn't think anything was wrong with it. And then I saw them taking out a bag of garbage. And then later in the movie, you see that they barely even have anything to throw away. Then that made me super suspicious. So it wasn't really the digging, but the digging was like in between that part. So it's made me think, wait a minute. If they're digging for something, what was he throwing away?
Right. Oh, that's a really good point.
It was the digging and the garbage and that all combined.
Yeah. Well, because when they go in their house, there's just crap everywhere. And they're clearly not throwing anything away. They do not KonMari their house.
But then you saw that when they dumped out the garbage, it was all garbage.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I agree.
Did they steal someone's garbage?
I wonder if they did. Maybe they did. Maybe they were onto him and they switcherooed the garbage. That sounds pretty crafty.
But he didn't see him. Well, actually, I did remember him staring at the bushes because, remember, they rustled it and it was like... So he probably heard that because they were pretty close. They were just like, so like if the neighborhood was like the size of your computer, which is not very big, and on the library part was the bushes, and then on the part where it has the red line right now, that's probably where, which isn't a big thing. So it's like from the plus sign to that red dot right now. That is the area.
I see.
It wasn't there. It was when it was like at like 9:04.
Yeah. I don't think anybody can see, though, the GarageBand app streaming in the background, so that visual reference might be a bit lost on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So I'm kind of curious, why do you think Tom Cruise's character was home? Like, what did you make of him being at home and how he was using his vacation? The main guy, whose wife keeps telling him that he shouldn't be so suspicious. He gets blown up at the end. Ray Peterson.
You told me that was Tom Hanks.
What did I say? Did I say Tom Cruise? Oh, no.
I was like, Tom Cruise.
Oh, no, that's terrible. No, Tom Hanks. What did you think about why Tom Hanks was on vacation and how he was using his vacation?
I thought it was nice. In our summer vacation, we normally go somewhere for like 2 weeks or something when you have your weeks off, and then we stay for an extra week, so it's like 3 weeks out of the house for our vacation, sometimes 4 weeks.
But did you think him being at home for that amount of time was strange? Did it seem weird to you, or just like, oh, that's Dad is just taking a vacation from work?
No, it didn't seem strange to me, because honestly, he did say it was like marshy at the lake, and that it was like ew and mildew at that house. I wouldn't want to go there if it was my summer break and I got to pick where I get to go. I wouldn't want to go there. Honestly, if I had to pick between staying at my house and staying at a mildew house for the rest of my life, I'd pick staying at my house.
Sure, for sure, absolutely.
I would miss out on going to lakes though. I do really want to fish, but that's getting off track.
What's your ideal vacation then?
I want to go back to that house with that Aunt Polly took us to with the elevator in the garage. I really liked that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
I want to go back there for this summer. But okay. I think we have to be with Aunt Polly too, and I think she's busy as of right now.
I don't know. Summer's still a bit of ways away. Let's see. I love the I made a couple notes while we were watching the movie. I don't think I recognized so the intro to the movie, right, where it goes from the universal globe turning thing and it zooms down the globe to their street, and then you see an overhead view of the block, and then it cuts to a real shot of their block and the camera zooms in down like that. And you know what it reminded me of is so that was 1989. But now that's like Google Earth. Like if you use Google Maps or something, and you turn on satellite view and you just zoom down to your house.
Yeah, that does look like that. Or if you've ever seen Descendants, it does that with the mirror. So first Evie's like, show me a map of the museum. It shows the Earth, and then she's like, zoom in, and then it shows their like place on the globe, like. The 5 countries, continents, place of the continents, and then she says, zoom it again, it zooms into their country, zoom it again into the city, again into the town, and then after 16 tries, she finally gets to the map of the museum, and I'm like, why did it take the mirror so long? He specifically said, I want a map of the museum, and then it started with the big world.
I think that would actually be a pretty good list of movies, is movies that start from outer space, and the intro to the movie is from camera shot from outer space that zooms all the way down to wherever it is the action is going to take place in the opening scene. Because this is a horror comedy. Well, this is not a horror comedy. I would call this more of a comedy with a little bit of horror to it. But Enemy of the State, the Will Smith movie about surveillance and satellites and stuff, that starts out with an overhead shot that zooms down, but it's got a whole different feel to it because it's like a spy thriller movie.
But it's not like
Yeah, the score, right? You commented on the score immediately. That's Jerry Goldsmith. He did the score to some of the Star Trek movies that you've seen.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I really like the soundtrack in this. Did you like it the whole way through? Yeah. She's doing the Vulcan salute.
It's easy for me to do it for some reason. I don't know why.
Because you're a highly logical girl and you might actually be a Vulcan.
Hey, I'm not a Vulcan yet.
Yeah, no, that's not how that works. You're born a Vulcan. What else?
Yet 'cause I don't believe.
Oh, I see. I don't think that's how that works either. What else do you think we need to talk about when it comes to the Burbs?
I remember that you added something to a list of questions. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, you had asked what karma was.
Yeah.
In the course of the movie. And so karma is the belief that, like, the actions that you take in the course of your life can sort of, like, influence what happens in the future. So, like, the universe eventually tries to balance itself out is the idea. And that if you do very bad things, karma will mean that not good things go your way. Goodness, bless you.
Thank you.
I can't sneeze like that. I don't know how you do that. It's mind-boggling. But so, like, if you do something bad, then something bad will come. If you do something bad to somebody, something bad will come and happen to you later on. And if you do good things, then you grow good things in the universe.
So sort of like how, sort of like a cause and effect?
I don't think it's quite a cause and effect once you really get into it, but yeah, basically.
So if you're like a good and a bad person, what if you're most of the time good and then sometimes you're bad? Like sometimes I get in trouble, but most of the time I'm helping people with donation and dolls and stuff. Well,
the way that I think about karma is that the idea really is that if you do good things for other people, you're helping create good things in the universe. And that makes them do good things for other people. And so you grow the amount of good things in the world by doing that. And the more good you add to the world, the more good will ultimately come back to you because you're improving the world around you. And if you're destructive and you break things and you do bad things, then more bad things will happen to you as you go along because you're growing like bad things.
Sort of like going back to the guy who was arrested across the street where Zara lives now. It's sort of like that. He robbed 2 stores, I think. I'm not sure, but I think it was 2
I don't know if any of that is true. What are you talking about?
I don't know, but he got in trouble for something, and then the effect for doing that, the bad thing that happened to him.
See, you're exactly like Ray Peterson in this. You're so suspicious of what's going on across the street. Did you hear what happened? Who got arrested? Why'd they get arrested? It's gossip.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of the book I'm reading in at school. It's called Titanic, and it's a historical fiction. And in the book, wait a second, thinking. Wait, can you say that sentence again where he's like, what's going on? Oh yeah, I remember. So in the book it's like, these rich people have a lot of gossip. If I call a steward, the stewards might tell the rich people there's going to be like, blah, 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 blah. And then Juliana's going to be embarrassed forever. No.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you would like to say about the Burbs?
The Burbs?
The Burbs?
Oh, you said burps.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yes,
Which one of us is 9? If anybody said the burps, it's definitely you. I did not.
You said burps.
Well, folks, you can rewind that back and check and see, but I think the truth will out that I did not say the burps. What else would you like to say about the Burbs?
Now you're saying Burbs. Now you're saying it wrong with the B. And you're like, Burbs.
All right. Focus up. What else?
Ask the question again, please.
What else do you have to say about the Burbs?
I thought it was pretty. I liked all the stunts.
Mm-hmm. I loved him falling off the roof when he shoots the car. Bruce Dern taking a tumble off the roof. I thought that was great. I also loved him when he was sitting up on the roof, spying for the return of the Klopeks, drinking his coffee and eating animal crackers.
Honestly, for some reason, if that was Goosies, I can imagine him. I could imagine like him watching Cuties for some reason and be like.
What did you think about?
Mostly they were chicken. It was mostly like chicken animal crackers. She's like, okay.
What did you think about that guy's dog pooping in other people's yard?
I thought that was kind of funny. Honestly, I wouldn't want it to be my yard. But
right.
Honestly, I love how Tom Hanks is just staring and he's like. And then he walks inside and watches his neighbor get so mad, and he's like, Walter, if your dog does that again, I'm gonna staple his eyes shut.
Well, but that's that's something that's weird about living in the suburbs, right? Is that people get stressed about these weird, random little things. Like, I don't want a dog pooping in our yard either. And I might lose my mind if somebody's dog pooped right in our yard where I walk every single day.
Well, there are like 4 dogs on our street and they poop wherever they want. Except for one that went straight, but it's not Zara's.
Right. But my point being is that like in the suburbs, and I think that's kind of what Joe Dante's playing with a little bit, is that people just get really in tune to other people's business. And even it's not just the kid who's watching the street like it's a live act soap opera. Even Tom Hanks's character is watching the conflict between Bruce Dern's character and the guy with the dog, and they'll fight with each other. Like, they just constantly are peeking out the windows at each other's secrets.
Honestly, I think I remember he was like, whoa, this is kind of good. Like the kid, he was just like looking and he was like, wow, this is getting good. I can imagine if there was a part of, if they shot what he was doing, because remember, you saw him doing that and you heard music in the background. His rock music. Honestly, I can imagine if he had that turned down and he was listening, he would be like, awesome, I'm gonna turn this off and keep listening.
So now you've seen like 2.5 movies by Joe Dante. What do you? Well, yeah, because you watched INNERSPACE and The Burbs, and you've seen part of Small Soldiers, which is what we decided the last time.
Wait, he did Tom. Wait, wasn't that Joe Dante?
Yeah, that's what I said.
No,
You've now seen
Tom
2.5.
Hanks.
No, I definitely said
You
Joe
said
Dante.
Tom Hanks.
No.
You said Tom Hanks.
No, I'm again, listener, you can play that back, but this time 100%. I said Joe Dante. No, don't play it back. You know what I'm asking now. So, Joe Dante, you've seen 1.5 of his movies. What do you think of his stuff so far? Would you want to watch more of his movies?
Honestly, I still want to see Small Soldiers for our podcast.
Yeah, okay.
I only got to see half of it, and I don't even remember it. Honestly, I think it was like you were like 40 minutes in, and the movie's like 2 hours.
So he also directed a movie though called Gremlins. Do you know Gremlins? Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, just never seen it.
What do you think it's about?
A whole bunch of gremlins taking over a city.
Not quite, but close. What about what was I just thinking of? Matinee is a movie about the 1960s and the Cuban Missile Crisis, and like people making silly horror movies, and that kind of gets all mushed together. When you talk about do you guys talk about current events in school?
Huh? What events?
Current events?
Oh. We don't talk about current events, but we do talk about past events, like the Titanic and World War II.
So you guys don't talk about anything that's going on in the news right now? Okay.
Nowadays, it's more like gunshots and stuff, and that's not really appropriate for school.
You don't think so? It's appropriate for movies at home that we do podcasts on.
You're not even allowed to hold up your hands like this or like this.
Yeah.
You're not even allowed to do like. You can't even do a heart with these because you're so worried about you getting so used to doing this that someday you could become a bad person with gunshots and stuff.
Well, I don't think that you are not allowed to make the heart symbol at school, but you're definitely not allowed to make pointy gun fingers. What do you think about that? Is that a silly rule or a good rule?
I think it's kind of good because I know a couple people whose parents have guns in glass cases on the walls in their bedroom.
Mm-hmm. And if you go to somebody else's house and they have a gun, what do you do?
Honestly, if it's because, like I was saying, it's in their parents' bedroom. I wouldn't be allowed. I wouldn't, even if they said, "Come on, it's not good. It's not. It's not like there's a gun in there." They're just like, "Oh, there is a gun." Mm-hmm. I'm like, "I told you, and that's why I'm not going in there."
And if you find a gun, what do you do?
I wouldn't touch it because it could be full, and I might accidentally hold it wrong, and maybe I might like if it's one of those like small guns, like ones that look like Nerf guns, because I know some that are like that are black, but they look like Nerf guns. So honestly, I wouldn't really touch it, even if it did look like a Nerf gun. I would look. Without touching it, I would like pick up a stick or something and like try not to touch the trigger and flip it.
Try not to touch the trigger. Oh my goodness.
I'm trying not to because how am I supposed to get it to tip over with the stick? With just use. Okay, I'm not going to touch the trigger with the stick.
You're gonna poke a gun with a stick?
Nerf on either side. But if it doesn't say Nerf, then I know it's a real gun and I won't touch it. And I'll like call you or call the authorities or something.
If you find something that even looks remotely like a real gun, don't poke it with a stick. Just come and get some adult to ask them, like, hey, is this a gun?
911, I've had a gun in my front yard and it has blood on it.
Yeah, well, but here, I mean, look, the reality, though, is like, if you find a gun and you think it's real and you ask for help from a grown-up, the worst thing that happens is they come over and find out that you've mistaken a Nerf gun for a real gun. That's okay. Guns are dangerous. Well, this conversation took a turn.
We're very off track.
Yes, we are off topic. Let's go ahead and close this conversation out. Final thoughts on the Burbs, Joe Dante, movies in general, but not finger guns at school.
Okay, pretty much got everything. I really liked the part where he fell from the roof when he was trying when they were trying to fix that, when they were trying to snap the light so that when they walked in, the alarm would go off and it would be like, wee-ah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when you saw back, I was like, how did he paint his nails so quickly?
Oh, yeah.
Because it looks like he had painted his nails black. And I was like, and then you paused the movie and was like, so you have any thoughts on that? And I was like, how did he paint his nails so quickly?
You just asked what was going on with his hands, and he had electrocuted himself very badly.
But wouldn't his whole hand had to be black if he'd electrocuted
No,
himself?
I agree, and that's why I think the violence in this movie is all comedy. Nobody actually dies in the course of the movie because it's all played for a laugh. But
then why would it be on Shudder? Because most Shudder movies have someone that dies.
Shudder doesn't just show straight scary horror movies. They got a bunch of horror comedy on there. And I think that there's just enough of a horror touch and flair to the Burbs that I think it's a good fit, actually, for what Shudder does. But just because it's a horror doesn't mean that the violence is necessarily real or the dynamics of it are real. If you went out and cut a power line in person standing that close to a transformer, you would be dead. And horribly dead. Like, face melted off, maybe dead, like, bad dead. He just got his fingers turned black and blue. And same for the guy who's exploded. Tom Hanks gets exploded at the end of the movie. He would be dead in real life. but in the movie he's got a limp, a broken finger, and a black eye, which looks great on camera, but is not necessarily real. But I think that's in fitting with the movie.
Honestly, I've always wondered I know that I kind of off track with this, but I watched a show called The Magic School Bus Returns.
Sure.
So when you were little, you had Magic School Bus. Now there's a new series called Magic School Bus Returns when Miss Frizzle's niece takes over, and Miss Frizzle retires and becomes the person who answers the phone call questions at the end of the show.
Sure.
So, like, they're talking about eyes. I've always wondered what it looks like. Because, like, you saw a lot of times in the movie, they were, like, either upside down or one of their eyes was closed and open. I've always wondered what it looks like when one eye is closed and one eye is open, or when you're upside down. Because normally, when you see something into your eye, it projects an upside down image, and then it goes into your brain, and the brain turns it right side up, and that's what you see. So, like, for example, this microphone. If it was just your eye, everything would be upside down right now that you saw, even me. When I'm not really upside down. Okay.
Yes.
So, and then...
We got it. Keep going.
And then, but because you have your brain, it flips it over so that I'm not seeing you upside down and you're not seeing me upside down. So yeah, I've always wondered if the brain doesn't change the image because you're upside down already, or if the image is right side up and then the brain turns it upside down. I don't know.
The question that you're asking. Yes, that's totally off track. That's not remotely related to what we're talking about. But it's an interesting question nonetheless, I suppose.
Technically it is on track because there was a lot of that happening during the movie.
Upside down people or eyeball shots?
Eyeball shots and upside down, because there were some times that they were upside down. Like when they're falling and you see the eyes, it's upside down. And when he's falling, he's just rolling.
But that's because if they're upside down, your eye sees them as right side up, and your brain knows to correct it to upside down. All right. Let's go ahead and close this out, because we are off track, and I think we've said everything that we need to for this part of the podcast episode for the Burbs. Why don't you say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, peeps. See you next time. And my dad, the B-I-L-L person. What? You never said I couldn't spell it?
I did not. Now that's a rule. No spelling. You've gotten away with it this time. The B-I-L-L person will...
be seeing you on the other side for his thoughts about showing your child this.
Okay.
I'm a shell of a man because of you, Art.
You leave! Now!
Soldiers!
You leave them alone! Get off their case already!
They didn't do anything to us.
They didn't do anything to us! All right, so they're different, so they keep to themselves!
Can you blame them? They live next door to people who break into their house and burn it down while they're gone for the day. Remember what you were saying about people in the burbs, Art? People like Skip? People who mow their lawn for the 800th time and then snap? Well, that's us! It's not them! That's us! We're the ones who are vaulting over the fences and peeking in through people's windows. We're the ones who are throwing garbage in the street and lighting fires. We're the ones who are acting suspicious and paranoid. We're the lunatics. Us. It's not them. It's us.
All right. And that's the Burbs with Claire, who, I think on the whole, she generally does a pretty good job staying on topic and staying involved in the conversation. But, in terms of behind the scenes for the podcast, she and I have to work together. And, she has a different workflow and approach and type of focus than I do. And that can make it challenging, to work together. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have had to work with folks who kind of think and approach problems differently than you do. And that's tricky. But, I think that she's actually quite good at articulating her thoughts on the movies and making connections when she sits down to do it. And B, she's 9. And I don't really stress too much about her attention span. But I think that you can hear sometimes in some episodes how often she says off track, we're getting off track, or we need to stay on track, or whatever, because it is a regular part of our conversation as we're doing this. There are some edits in the course of our conversation to put things together. That's a little behind the scenes fact. But a lot of times that's to do, because there are folks stomping around upstairs or whatever, and we want to kind of get rid of that audio, so we do in some seamless editing. But sometimes I worry. What I really worry about with it is that I give her, if I'm too aggressive with reminding her to stay on task, that she'll feel like she's being put in a position where A, she's doing a chore that she doesn't want to do, and B, she's being constantly told that she's not doing it right, which is not correct. I find most of her tangents to be actually very fun and very interesting to explore, like why her brain relates that to the movie that we saw. And so I don't try and push her into the topics when she kind of tends to steer off in a different direction. But then sometimes we wind up somehow talking about finger guns and heart signs at school. And I'm just not sure how we wound up there. But I think that's all okay. I think that's part and parcel of A, learning a process with a new person, and B, helping kind of teach Claire how to put her thoughts in order and make sure that the analysis that she's doing kind of flows through the episode. I'm not a master at it, so maybe it's a bit of the blind leading the blind, but I want to make the process fun for her, and so that's why sometimes we do wind up getting off track, but I don't necessarily cut all of that stuff, because I think it's good for her. I think it's good for her to have that conversation, and I think most of it's pretty relevant and pretty interesting. Finding hidden guns in people's houses and stories of people getting arrested on your block is exactly the kind of conversation that I would want to have around the Burbs, and like what she thinks about growing up in exactly that kind of environment. So it's kind of interesting to see where her brain goes and how she gets those stories. I don't remember some person across the street from us getting arrested. I'm pretty sure Danielle would tell me about that. I don't think that she would keep that a secret, but who knows? You never know what's going on behind suburban doors. You never know. They could be serial killers, or they could be people who just don't share the gossip of the neighborhood with their partners. Man, you just can't tell. You just can't tell. I think, watching this movie with Claire, for me, was kind of weird this time around, because I really only ever watched this movie on my own or with my wife. And I really, really related to the stressed out suburbanite dad. Just like, I gotta take off work for a week so that I can de-stress and figure out what's going on. Otherwise things are getting out of hand. And you come home and you laze about, and my stepdad got me these tools. Not my stepdad. My father-in-law got me these tools, and but maybe I'll build something with them. I don't know, but they're great. I'm gonna show them off. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. I identified a lot with like the very fatherly suburban thing, which is funny because I don't think the Burbs really does anything with that at all. There's a lot of great Carrie Fisher scenes in there where they kind of interact as a married couple, where she's really not taking any of his nonsense. And I think even though it turns out that they happen to be right at the end of the movie, everything that they do is totally paranoia driven and is absolutely correct to be mocked and not taken seriously by Carrie Fisher. I think that that's the correct move. But I like the dynamic of their relationship. I like how they get heated, but it doesn't turn into anything more than just a disagreement about how to deal with that particular thing. And I mean, for the most part, they seem to have a fine relationship, except for the fact that they don't really address by the end of the movie that Tom Hanks's character is a paranoid mess and is totally stressed out and not making great choices. But a house blows up and it turns out that they were serial killers, so everything works out all right in the end. No, I don't think that's how that movie ends. I think the movie ends with him realizing he does need to chill out because maybe this went too far. And that I definitely appreciate. I joked with Claire at the start of this episode that, now that she's seen Bruce Dern, I can show her some Bruce Dern movies. A lot of great Bruce Dern movies out there. So I don't know how long it is until The Hateful Eight is a feature on Bill and Claire's Excellent Adventures. Probably a little while. I don't think that she's quite ready for Quentin Tarantino just yet. But I definitely think that we'll get into some more Joe Dante. I'm surprised that she hasn't seen more Tom Hanks movies than apparently none, which is shocking to me. We need to watch all his movies. I mean, I can't even believe that she hasn't seen Turner and Hooch, but I don't know. I guess you really wouldn't have people talking about that, and if you didn't grow up with it, then you wouldn't know. But then the Dragnet remake, the Money Pit, man, everything with Tom Hanks. I think I said Tom Cruise again. Dude, I've been doing that all night. That is the worst. Tom Hanks, great actor. All sorts of movies that we need to get into. I think probably the next one that we'll get into for Tom Hanks is Big. Because I think that she's right at the right age where I think we'll get some pretty interesting perspective from her about Tom Hanks's character as a grown-up, based on her own perspective. I wish that I could go back in time and kind of figure out how I thought about that movie back at that point. So I think next week's episode of the podcast will be Big with Tom Hanks. But you never know. We may audible. It's hard to say what we're going to do. I still need to kind of get, I feel like, maybe a little bit more rhythm and rhyme to the approach to the title selection. I'm just kind of trying to daisy chain things together as they sort of make sense. That gives her an expanse of movies that are representative of a wide swath of the cinema, as opposed to just a deep dive into some of my favorite filmmakers. But yeah, so we'll see. And I think that's going to do it for this particular episode of the podcast. So if you don't already, please find us on Twitter. You can find Bill and Claire's Excellent Adventure on Twitter at BACEA Podcast. If you have any suggestions for movies or some feedback on how your own kids interacted with this movie when you showed it to them, hit us up. We're always happy to talk on social media. And you can follow me on the social medias at WBDAS on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And if you don't, we have our own iTunes feed. So if you could hit subscribe to that via iTunes and leave a 5-star review, we would really very much appreciate it. It's exactly the kind of support that only listeners like you can provide. And it's the kind of thing that will help raise us to a new audience. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher up we are in the search algorithms, the more likely people are to discover this. And we want to spread the good word. As always, Bill and Claire's Excellent Adventure is an In the Mouth of Darkness production, and you can follow that podcast at ITMODcast, that's ITMODcast, on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow them on Facebook.com/ITMODcast. And you can find the other dorks. Brad Gullickson at MouthDork on all social medias, Lisa Gullickson at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can also follow her at Bake Dork on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Brian Young, the Turtle Dork, at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and at Brian B. Young on Facebook. And you can follow Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, at the Disco Dork on all social medias. And that will do it for this episode. Until next time.
I don't know what to say. What, do you want me to move?
Kill you!